Thank you. My name is Gabi Tal. I was employed by IBM for about 32 years. The question is again to Avi, and sorry for keeping you so busy. We are all of us are aware that the Israeli high-tech industry is going through a very challenging period of time right now. It was the first quarter ever that our export has been reduced under the 4 billion last quarter. The question that I would like to get from you and from all the other panelists, what is the role of the government along with the multinational in order to enhance the reach of the Israeli high-tech industry, which is the only industry that doesn't have a market here in Israel and needs a global market, and how can we extend our reach through the government with the support of the multinational?
I'll try to be brief, so to let the other panelists speak as well. I think again, it's a great marriage, because it was mentioned here that larger companies realize, even in the most conservative industries, they're even more conservative than automotive, believe it or not, Gil, that they need the small companies. They need to have a more open innovation culture, and they need not only to enhance their product portfolio, but also mix their internal culture with what small companies have to offer. On the other hand, small companies, certainly if they're from Israel, they need the large companies. They need them because they have the market reach. They need them because many times they have a customer understanding. Many times they have labs or equipment that a young company cannot, for financial reasons or any other reasons, acquire. And they also have that perspective of a large company, which can help a small company to avoid some of the bigger mistakes that would require DNA change or genetic engineering if you do it in the wrong way. So I think, unlike, I'll say it myself, and before joining the government, I spent 20 years on the right side, I guess. Unlike what happened in the past, smaller companies and larger companies have a bigger tendency of working together. What we try to do as a government is exactly to facilitate those collaborations. Really, if I need to reduce it to a few words, I would say matchmaking or scouting. And as I said, they all have their own facilities, but we can help because we have such a great perspective on what's happening in Israel. And then funding is help reduce the risk of those joint projects and collaboration for both the small company who has a limited bandwidth, as well as for the large company who's betting on a small company that might not be there tomorrow, and many times the technology is unproven. So what we try to do, besides attracting the multinationals here, is to create those frameworks where multinationals and the Israeli ecosystem, both in academia and industry, can work together. It could be bilateral projects, it could be consortia-based frameworks, it could be the incubators, and the reform we made in the incubator 18 months ago brought the multinationals in a big way to be owners of such incubators. Companies like Nielsen, like Hasson, like Johnson & Johnson, and many others today use the incubator program as a way to get access to all this great innovation. So in the context of multinationals, as I said, I think our role is to bring them together. And by the way, interesting things happen. It was not mentioned before, but even these are great examples. These are no silos, make no mistake. It's not as if you have eBay and IBM and GM and Nokia and Yahoo. What you find out, and I would dare to say it's unique to Israel, is that in Israel, these people talk to each other. And sometimes you have two huge companies working together simply because the Israeli guys met and figured out there's an interesting business opportunity to be gained. That's yet another advantage that we can gain from their activities here. The last one being making our whole ecosystem better. These people train subcontractors. They represent the highest standards of what the global customers need. By working with Israeli companies, sometimes from the traditional industries, not necessarily the high-tech guys. These are the steel guys, as I said, the traditional guys. They make them better because all of a sudden they open a global opportunity for them, and you are a young company in Sderot, you never thought about going to the global automotive market because that would have been suicide. But now you have someone in Herzliya you can talk to who can share with you what is needed, help you get better in the process, and maybe open that channel to the global opportunity. So these are the sort of opportunities we see and the sort of activities we try to help to bring these guys closer to what Israel can offer.
Thank you, Avi. I would just like to say, as an Israeli, that I think we're very lucky to have this incredible team at the Ministry of the Economy, because Avi brings with him 20 years of excellence and experience and a great toolbox as chief scientist, but also one thing which is very rare in Israel, but his minister, Naftali Bennett, is an entrepreneur, someone who's been very successful, who also had a very successful exit, which also allows him, I think, to delve into politics, in the way he does. But there is, I think, a greater understanding today based on a life experience in that ministry than we ever had before. And I think we're very lucky to have them, and we wish them luck. Thank you.
As Avi said, this is an ecosystem. Multinationals are here because of the startups. Startups need the venture capital to support them. They need the talent comes from the academia. So it's all part of the same ecosystem. In my previous role, I had some global responsibilities. So I worked with foreign government out of the US, with the Russian government, Australian government, Swedish government, a few other. And I would like to say something which is not common here. The Israeli government, very open-minded. They do the work in a light speed. I know that it's odd to say that, but without the chief scientist, I would not be sitting here today. We are here first and foremost because of the talent, but without the enabling of the government. And in our industry, if I need to bring a test vehicle over here, there's so much regulation that the Minister of Transportation oppose, which is go back to the British day here. I need to go one by one to remove them to be able to bring one test vehicle, because without test vehicle, there's nothing we can do here. So the government is very open-minded. We work with 3 or 4 ministers, including the office of the Prime Minister. Everybody is very open, and I have only credit to give the Israeli government. Very open-minded. Thank you.
Thank you. Abdul Malik Al-Jaber. Yossi calls me his favorite enemy. I call him my godfather. I'm a Palestinian. And I think with this very positive atmosphere, I want to put a very challenging question. We all know that having peace in the region will be in the best interest of everybody, multinationals, Israelis, Palestinians, and Arabs. And especially with this spring that's happening around, and with almost 400 million, the size of the Arab market, with the politicians failing to conclude a peace deal, maybe the multinationals who are in Israel, the 290 multinationals, can do something about that. Maybe they can be the bridge if they are visionary enough to expand beyond the borders of Israel, from Israel to the West Bank, and start creating jobs. And maybe this economic cooperation would be the strongest bridge to achieve peace that we've been looking for a long time. So maybe you have not thought about that. I would love to have your comments, and I would like this to be an area to explore in the very near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaber, for that great comment. Thank you very much. If I may, I'll just respond very quickly. Jaber knows I'm a member of the core group of the BTI. The BTI is an initiative which was actually launched by the World Economic Forum, and Klaus Schwab, who is the chairman of the World Economic Forum and its founder. It was originally an idea which was brought up nearly 2 years ago by Yossi Vardi and Munib Masri. There were about 3 Israelis and 3 Palestinians involved in it at the time. Today we are about 300 altogether, representing probably 25% of the Israeli GDP, and about the same as far as the Palestinian GDP. We believe very much that the two-state solution is the only game in town, and that there is a sense of urgency to having it done. But we also believe very, very strongly that economics and business have a very, very strong role to play in that. We are all business people, no government, all private sector. We talk to each other, we've created trust, we visited each other's homes in Nablus and in Jericho and in Tel Aviv and in Ramat Aviv. We've met in Geneva and in Davos. We've met with John Kerry and with President Peres and with Prime Minister Netanyahu. And everywhere we go, we bring that message. And one of the things we truly believe, and I share your sentiment on that, is that the multinational companies have a very, very crucial role to play in that equation. Because at the moment, and we'll be very frank about that, there still is a certain skepticism and hesitancy on the part of the Palestinian business people to engage in joint projects and in business deals with Israelis. We all want to do business. We all believe that business at the end of the day will build the bridge to peace. But on the Palestinian side, and understandably so, there is some skepticism and a feeling that by doing so, they will actually be normalizing, and among other things, normalizing occupation. This is where I think multinational companies can come in, because they are not Israeli, they are not suspect, they are multinational, and therefore I believe that multinational companies do have a very, very crucial role to play in creating a new economic environment and cooperation and joint ventures which will eventually convince everybody that there are real dividends to peace and real fruits of peace. So I wonder whether any of you, I know some companies already have offices in Ramallah and offices in other places and have centers in the Cisco, for example, does. I'm sure some of you maybe do, but I think this is a very important question, and I would very much welcome, very briefly, because we're practically out of time, any thoughts you may have on what role multinational companies can play to make that happen. Rick?
Yeah, so first, at a personal level, I've been involved in the Breaking the Impasse organization together with Dan and Yossi and others, because I'm a firm believer that one of the keys to a successful resolution of the issues between the Israelis and the Palestinians is business bridges that need to be built between the two countries. When you think of a company like IBM and where we make decisions about where we place our sourcing, I mentioned it earlier with respect to the Haifa labs, what the Palestinian environment could bring to a company like IBM and others like us in the industry is the ability to support the region. Because it's harder to support the region out of Israel than it would be to support the region out of Palestine. We do a lot of that work out of Cairo today. And I'm a firm believer that given the instability of what's happening in Cairo today, the Palestinian environment starts to take on benefits in the long term for multinationals as we think about how we interact with the Middle East and other Middle Eastern countries as a potential source of great resources for us. So I see a lot of potential there.
Hi, my name is Yael Shani. I'm an ecosystem branding expert, especially in high-tech and branding Israel. And what I would like to ask is, following what Ron mentioned, as part of the DNA in the Israeli ecosystem is the ability to have teamwork and multidisciplinary collaboration. We see it more often among startups helping themselves, or VCs helping startups, multinationals helping startups. But do you have any examples of competition between multinationals, like IBM and Microsoft?
Competition or cooperation?
Co-opetition.
Co-opetition, okay.
Yes, or collaborations.
So for the first part, we don't have, luckily we do not have competition here yet, but it's coming, we know that. In a few years, we definitely will have at least a handful of players here. Israel is very attractive to the auto industry. But we do business with other multinationals. As it was said earlier, we are part of an ecosystem. We meet each other everywhere in any panels like that, in any event or boards of companies, and just over lunch. The discussion taking place is serious. We discuss future trends and what we do. Doesn't matter if we compete or we collaborate. Many of the multinationals here are tier one supplier to us, and we have got a couple of cases where we work with companies like SAP and other that are not naturally fit to us, and for us from the headquarters to set up a delegation or a meeting, sets of meeting for in either Germany or the West Coast with SAP will take months, if not more than that. Who is available, what is the right delegation, what we're going to talk about, what are the agenda, what are the next steps. And for us, it's just a quick lunch. We can actually pinpoint what are the critical area we should work together. Everybody goes back home, share the fundings, and up and running. You've got two multinationals that do work together.
Maybe a quick example. You actually spoke about Sunnyvale before. Actually, the place where we end up meeting our competitors or our collaborators are usually Sunnyvale or Israel. When I come in here, I know I can meet all the people I'm dealing with on one-to-one basis. It's very difficult to organize in Europe. But event like this one, or event like, other event in Israel, I know I will meet everyone. So it turns to be more of a social gathering as well, where you can actually exchange more freely than you would do in any other places. So it's not really cooperations, collaboration, competitions. It's just like meeting to each other. And Israel turned to be a crossroad for all of us to meet and to chat with each other. And maybe one quick thing. So, yep. I recall in the last summit, I was actually sitting on the table like this one with a PayPal colleague. And actually out of these discussions, we actually launched a program which is going all around Europe now. So it's just out of a discussion in a meeting like this one.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think we have the last question over here.
Good day. My name is Steve. I'm a fisherman.
Can you stand up?
Yeah, definitely. Good day. My name is Steve. I'm a fisherman at Yahoo port. I would like to know, Avi, your opinion about bitcoins. About bitcoins.
About?
What you think about and want the government stand up on it.
Truthfully, not avoiding the question, but it's not within our jurisdiction, I would say. So, not within our direct
all right,
responsibility.
So a different question. What's your stand about Free Software Foundation and how you integrate free software in Israel?
Let me just answer again. Different. Actually, we have someone good in the crowd who could answer that, but I wouldn't embarrass him or her. Let me just say, as a more general answer to your question, I think with regards to the paradigms we've been using both in industry and government, we really need to be as updated as we can with the major trends that are happening. And things like open source and things like you mentioned should be taken into consideration both in the way we educate and train our people, as well as into what do we integrate into the government system itself. There are efficiencies which can be gained through that, and at the end of the day, focusing on my perspective or on my job description, if we want to keep up with what's happening in the world, we really need to be out there with things like cloud and open source and new business models, including your former question, because this is where the world is going. So government, it's very hard to expect governments to be the pioneer of that, but at least we should be showing the way and being out there with our own implementation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming and for being such a lively, engaged, and interested audience. Thank you to all my colleagues on the panel. I think, it's a very long time since I've been part of such a positive panel, which was also so positive and so full of praise for Israel, including the Israeli government. This is not something that happens every day, but I think that what we saw today was actually an example of excellence, of commitment, of partnership, and indeed of cooperation and competition. We've seen the best and the brightest on this stage. We're lucky to have them here, and we wish you all luck, and we hope that when we meet again next year at DLD, you will still have only good things to say about Israel, the Israeli government, and nobody mentioned the climate, but that's probably one of the best things here. Thank you all very, very much. You were a great panel. Thank you.